All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 6 here, halfway through this week and getting through the semester as well. Um, got a new product this week, history product to look at. T is the key, is the sort of what we're looking at today, this week. Did Khan kind of introduce you, but I think T is another really good um, product that really, in this chapter, this is a chapter from a larger book. So Mark Kurlansky, I said, kind of like started this genre of world history products, and Tom Sandage then picked 6 different beverages and gave a history of that. If you like beverages, they're all very interesting and good world history. Um, but tea is good because I think it's nice because it kind of ties in with a lot of what some themes we've been talking about. Chapter 9, I believe the first one is about British expansion and joint stock companies. You now are familiar with age of exploration to the east, how Europe and these different regions interacted, and out of that came tea. Right, the tea was introduced, became a major item of trade, very lucrative. It's light. You can pack a lot of it, and then you can, distribute it, buy in bulk, and sell and make a lot of money off of, and they did, right. And so it became a major industry. So it talks about, and this chapter also talks about a little bit of the history of tea in China, in Japan. The tea ceremony is very popular. I gave a video of myself that I filmed a while ago, trying to perform the tea ceremony. My wife is trained in it, and I tried to do it and it failed, but I still tried, and that's what you should do. At least give it a try. Yeah, and then the chapter 10 talks about tea and imperialism, right? And we'll talk about imperialism a little later in the semester, but this is sort of a primer to it. That a lot of these economic interests, particularly in the East, that started economically became more political, more military interventions, and we'll see that shift a little bit as we get back into world history a little bit later. But the Opium Wars between China and Britain are very much part of that world. So that's that. That's tea. Hopefully you find it interesting. I think it's interesting. And again, you can kind of be thinking about how cod is presented, how tea is presented, and maybe how you want to present your product. And then yeah, and then yeah. So this week, I also gave some product paper tips, kind of ways that I be thinking about your product paper. This week is a draft, so I do not need a completed 5-page paper. And in fact, if you submit a completed 5-page paper for your draft, I'll question how you were able to do that in a week. Yes, a draft, right? A draft is what is a draft? Right? A draft is words on paper. Start organizing your ideas. Start thinking about your thesis. Start thinking about your main points. Start thinking about the evidence. Where are you going to get this information? So a draft is not, I don't need a completed 5-page paper by Friday. I just want you to start thinking about it. I mean, this is part of the writing process. And the whole point of this sort of assignment is take an idea, start to research it, and then refine it, right? This is the idea of history. So what evidence do you have? What primary, secondary sources are there? That's what I want you to kind of look through. And the product paper tips, right? Kind of how to lay that out. You have an introduction, and then you have body paragraphs. In your draft, you should really be thinking about more of the body paragraphs. What is this? What are the main ideas, the components of your paper, and a thesis? What is the main point you're going to say? And again, I talk a lot about thesis in that discussion, right? The thesis being a single idea. So, I mean, if you get on AI and try to run this out, it's going to give you this really broad, very vague thesis, and it's going to make your paper very difficult to revise and control. You need a narrow idea. So be thinking about that. And your first thesis is probably going to be vague, and that's fine, but you can revise it and refine it. So that's a lot of part of the work here I'm looking for. Is there? So what should you turn in on Friday for your drafts? Everyone, I've broken everybody up into peer review groups. So go ahead and find your group by Friday. Just your peer review. What is just your draft? So it can be a smaller version, like your main ideas. It could be an outline with sort of things filled in there. Just basically get some words on paper, right? And start working through that. What did you find out? What evidence do you have? The two things you need to have is a thesis that's underlined, so I can kind of look at it, and and at least one secondary source citation that you have access to, right? And it's not just some random book found on the internet. Like, you literally have it. So make sure you upload or put a link in there so I can look at it and see what kind of secondary scholarly source. I gave ideas of where to find scholarly sources. Wikipedia is a good place to start. Just zoom down to the reference and external further readings. They have a lot of good secondary scholarly sources there. The Molokini Library you can look at as well. But it needs to be something sort of scholarly, not just like Wikipedia itself or like history.com. Like, it needs to be a little bit more substantive than that. So be thinking about that. Upload those. Upload everything by Friday, and then read over your group. There's a peer review rubric. Fill that out for each one of your group members by Monday. If a group member doesn't turn in a draft, then there you go. Don't worry about it. But yeah, turn that in by Monday, and with your comments on the peer. And the peer review is important because it gives you a deadline. You got to turn this draft in by this Friday. So, and again, it's a draft. It doesn't have to be complete. Just get some ideas on paper. And then you can look at other people's drafts and kind of what they're doing and how they're approaching it, and maybe kind of figure out how you want to approach it to your paper. So, great. I think that's everything I got to say about product papers. If you're having trouble with it, can't find sources, don't really know what to say about your thesis, please email me. I can help you out on all of that. Great. Have a good rest of your week.